physical therapy for the nerve damage in her legs so that she can walk again. And so she's in the ward, and the doctors and nurses realize that she's really smart, really talented, and they ask her to help out doing this and that. They give her more and more responsibility. She learns more and more. Now she's a nurse at that hospital. Isn't that just awesome? It's really a reminder that we're dealing at one level with people who are squandered assets, but who can truly be productive, valuable, beneficial for themselves, their communities, their families, their countries. And there are a lot of ways one can address maternal health, maternal mortality. It's not rocket science to save an awful lot of these women's lives. The question lacks political will. And one of the easiest ways to reduce the number of women dying in pregnancy is to reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies. More than 200 million women around the world who don't want to get pregnant, who don't have any access to family planning. And yet, because this area has been so toxic, it's one that people just have not wanted to go into. So there's been very, very little progress in the last quarter century on that. That's something that I think has to be a much higher priority. Another issue, maybe the last issue should be high on the agenda, is education. And there's no silver bullets to solve these problems, but education is one. Especially education that affects so many other areas. It improves the health of communities. It gives those women, those educated women, a chance to earn income, improves the economies. And when you bring women out of the margins of society, then it also tends to create a certain amount of calming influence on these countries. It also reduces the birth rates, as I talked about earlier. It chips away at that youth bulge. It's also something we kind of know how to do. Getting more people in school is something we sort of know what the obstacles are and we know how to make a difference. This is a girl called Beatrice Hira who grew up in Uganda. She's 9 years old in this picture. Her parents had not sent her to school, basically because she was a girl. They thought, well, she can look after her younger siblings, she can fetch water, fetch firewood, and so they didn't educate her. And I'm sure you know the group Heifer International. So a church in Connecticut sponsored 6 goats through Heifer, and one of those goats ended up in Beatrice's family, and they sold the milk from those goats, ended up with a little extra income, and with that extra income, and a bit of a nudge from Heifer, they sent Beatrice to school. She was 3 years behind the other kids, but she's a really smart kid. So she soared to the top of the class. All during elementary school, she's at the top of her class. During middle school and high school, she begins to do really well in nationwide examinations. Then becomes the first person in her village to go abroad to study, and ends up graduating from Connecticut College. And that's Beatrice. Isn't that cool? This is her graduation party, and she said, I'm the luckiest girl in the world, and it's all because of a goat. Let me just mention a couple of reasons why I think we can sort of psych ourselves out. I think that there's sometimes a feeling that, well, I'd like to help out, but that at the end of the day, there's so much corruption and inefficiency in aid organizations that it really just doesn't work. And it's worth acknowledging that these are real challenges. There is a lot of corruption. In Chad, which is a country I reported on a lot, there was one effort to help rural health clinics. And for every dollar that was intended for those rural health clinics, only 3 cents for each. And beyond that, it's a lot harder than it looks to make a difference. Anybody who's traveled around the developing world has seen all kinds of projects otherwise that were really well intended and for one reason or another didn't work out so well. You see wells that have been put in at considerable expense, and then because there wasn't a mechanism to keep them repaired, maybe because the local community didn't really feel ownership over it,